Hi internet friends, Tama here. Thank you to Honkai Nexus Anima for sponsoring today's video. In today's video, I will be going over my experience playing Honkai Nexus Anima's closed beta. I personally was excited about trying the closed beta because my husband Chaz is a huge Honkai Star Rail fan, and this game is the latest installment in the Honkai series. So it's relevant to my interests in that I hear Chaz talk about these games constantly. But from my experience playing it this week, Nexus Anima is pretty unique from Star Rail in terms of gameplay. This game is a monster collector strategy RPG. So it's right up my alley. If you've heard of this game and you didn't get to try the closed beta for yourself, you're probably curious to hear what it's actually like. Or if you haven't heard of this game, but you like monster RPGs like I do, you will probably be interested in this game. So don't worry, I got the scoop on what this closed beta was like, and I'm going to talk about my experience and talk about what I liked, what the game is like, and what I hope they improve for the final build of the game. You can pre-register to play the game for free by clicking the link in the video description or pinned comment. Additionally, Nexus Anima is surveying players right now about the game, so please make your voice heard by participating in the survey. The link to the survey will also be in the pinned comment and video description. So without further ado, let's get into it. In Nexus Anima, you'll take on the role of playing a plane-hopping traveler who has escaped captivity. You'll forge deep bonds with mysterious creatures in new worlds. You'll battle through thrilling encounters, and you play a character who has lost their memory, so you'll be uncovering the truths of your past. So getting into the gameplay, again, the version that I got to play was a closed beta, so it was not feature complete and may not represent what the actual final game will be like at launch. So first things first, I started by making a character. The art style in this game is super adorable, very anime, so it is really fun to play with different options for the hair and eyes. I feel like that face looks the most like me. Do I want it to look like me? I feel like this is the kind of game where you can make somebody super cute. I feel like this is actually pretty close to what my hair really looks like right now. There's more! I didn't even realize there's even more hairstyles. I can change the bangs. Right now my bangs are too long. They definitely kind of look like this. Cute. I love these. This is me if I were a waifu. Ooh, there's two outfits! Oh, well definitely we're going with this one. I love the avocado strap. It says, actually, I'm not gonna finish that sentence. In the beta, I could only choose to play as a girl, which I'm not complaining about, but there will be also a male player character in the final version, and you can specify your gender when you register with Town Hall, which I think is cool. And you also get to choose the stats of your player character, which I thought was kind of a novel concept for a game in this genre. We have intelligence, charisma, and strength. In RPGs, I always play low strength, low intelligence, high charisma. So let's do max charisma, no strength, no intelligence. I'm happy that they're going to let me do this. Normally, the player character doesn't get their own mechanic, and it's about the creatures. But in this game, you can choose stats that actually impact your options during quests and solving puzzles, which is exciting. After I made my character, I was dropped into a tutorial where a mysterious red-headed character explained the mechanics of the game. Throughout the world, there are creatures called anima. To befriend them, you have to defeat them in battle and then bond them. Each anima has two types. One is sort of more like an elemental type, and the second is sort of more like a personality type. In the tutorial, you start with a max number of 5 anima on the field at once. As I played the game, I was actually able to unlock additional slots to add more anima to the field during battles. If you use animas of the same type, the anima will have good synergy with each other, and you'll get bonuses in battle based on that. But their typing will determine things like what kind of attacks they can use, and then on top of that, the species of each anima will determine which role they play in battle, offensive or defensive. So you have frontline tanks, you also have like damage dealing frontline, and then you have your backline DPS or support. All of my anima at the beginning of the game were satiation type, so they had the ability to gradually heal back HP throughout the battle. You mainly influence battles by determining which anima get used and where on the field they start. Anima closer to the middle of the battlefield, or closer to the opponent's side of the field, should act as your tanks. And anima further away from the middle of the field, like towards the back, don't need to worry about getting hit as much, so you can put more fragile DPS ranged attackers back there. Once the battle begins, you start the battle, it's auto chess style, so the anima will fight each other automatically until one side is fully defeated. So you line up your guys, you hit go, and then just watch them go to town. If you chose everything right, your anima will reign victorious, and you can then collect the new anima that you defeated. But if not, you'll have to watch how the fight plays out, and then adjust your strategy based on what went wrong, to try again. It's not just other anima that you want to collect that you'll need to fight though. Other anima aficionados, like people who have anima, will also challenge you to battles. Although in the beta, I initiated every fight. I was not really approached to fight anybody except during story missions. The battling starts out pretty easy in the tutorial, obviously, but as I was going through the beta and advancing to higher levels, I needed to adjust my strategy pretty frequently. After the tutorial ended, the story began, and I was woken up by an adorable noseless unicorn and her even more adorable partner Nanafe.
You can't sleep here, you know. This clearing gets cold at night. You'll get sick. I was over there and saw a portal open in the sky, and you fell out.
What I was surprised by here is that this cutscene and a few others in this beta were fully voice acted. Nanafe, it turns out, is something called a Kardian, or a character that can also participate in battles. Kardians will be on the battlefield, and you can actually directly control their movements during fights, although this isn't always necessary depending on which Kardian it is. Each Kardian comes with an equipable item that you can give to one of your anima, as well as a special ability that buffs your side of the field. Sometimes these abilities are really specific to one type of anima or even one species, so it's best to choose a Kardian that will help your team out the most in any given scenario. Not only are these characters helpful in battle, but you can also collect them and play as them too. So not only are you able to collect monsters and customize your character, you can also collect playable characters. All of these characters are very detailed and adorable. Speaking of adorable, the creature designs also leaned pretty hard on the cute side. Each design was simple but had a good amount of detail, so they had something interesting to look at without being overly cluttered. There's also a huge variety of these anima, and even though I recruited every single one that I found, there were still tons I never saw. There were some hidden in the environment, and some that you had to befriend by learning about them and how to interact with them before you can fight and recruit them. Some had unique bond quests that you had to complete, and some were rewarded for completing chunks of content in the game. When I reached level 14, I unlocked a shop where I could buy new outfits for my character, new Kardians, and even outfits for my anima. The thing I like best about this, at least in the beta, is that you seem to have direct control over which characters you get, either through exploration and finding new anima in the world, or meeting new characters and recruiting Kardians as part of story missions, or doing unique challenges to unlock 5-star anima as part of completing quests, or there are even some Kardians and anima that you can purchase and unlock in the shop. But in this beta at least, it's not gacha style, it's not random. You can just save up and choose which characters you want to buy, which I appreciated. Or there are some that you unlock by reaching certain levels in the shop and you can just claim them for free. There's a lot of opportunities to express yourself here and build some unique and stylish teams. In the story, after Nanafe gave me a room to crash in, I pretty immediately joined several different factions. First, I was recruited to work at Town Hall and increase the joy in Iya. It's spelled capital I, lowercase I-A, so I think it said Iya. I helped fix a fracture in the plane of existence and got Kiana as a Kardian, and then I followed a boy named Hua to a school where I helped him solve a mystery. Apparently in this world, there are evil people who will kill anima and drain their power in order to do evil things. So we needed to figure out who was doing it and why they were targeting Hua. I think the decisions I made during this part of the story ultimately played a role in the outcome of the quest, although I don't think I necessarily made all the best ones. Low int, high charisma. Then after I got Hua as a Kardian, I was invited to join the Apex Forum, which is a group of the toughest anima battlers. But in order to advance with this group, I needed to raise my membership level by battling lots of aficionados and earning points to raise my rank. At this point, after I had finished a couple of these story missions, the beta opened up, and instead of being linear and story-based, I was free to explore and roam about the town. I stumbled on numerous side quests, like running a race at the track to help out the organizer, or needing to help a boy find his paper airplane. My anima's abilities out of battle helped me solve a lot of problems for the townspeople. I also found lots of new anima and some hidden items around town. Now, I do feel that it would be inauthentic to talk about my experience with the beta version of the game without mentioning a few things that I hope that they improve in the final. First, I personally can't stand camera controls that are tied to mouse movement. No matter how much I adjust the sensitivity, it feels too jerky for me, and sometimes can cause motion sickness in most games that use them. Thankfully, I didn't actually experience motion sickness while playing yesterday, but I hope that the game allows for controller support in the final version. It's possible that the beta actually did, and I just didn't find an option for it in the menu anywhere, but yeah. That's my #1 wishlist item for the final game, controller support. My other minor point that I hope that they improve in the final build is that sometimes messages appeared and disappeared really fast, and with so much on screen to look at, it was sometimes too fast for me to read. I had to look back at the footage of me playing the game to know that I actually didn't fail a story mission, and that the text was just summarizing the route that I took to finish the quest. I failed to expose the culprit. There's also a ton of menus and sub-menus, and it can be hard to find rewards that you need to collect sometimes that you've unlocked. But this is a big game with a lot going on, so I will give them some grace that the more features exist in a game, the more complicated it must be to seamlessly communicate that to the player without overwhelming them with notifications. In total, I played a solid 6 hours and reached level 17, and there's still so much I didn't get to do. I was pretty impressed overall with the cohesive art direction and how big the town was without really a moment of the game feeling like empty. There's a lot of space, and they filled it well with stuff to do and to participate in and interactions to have everywhere. The way that you can interact with the anima themselves also gives each one a personality despite there being so many different characters to meet and collect. Every few minutes I would get excited to find a new corner of the map, and every time I was rewarded with more subquests, ways to use my anima, and new anima to add to my team. I think this kind of game with lots of creatures and characters to collect, expressive elements like character customization, a big area to explore, but also with the polish and attention to detail and a story with a little more depth and aimed at a slightly older audience, is the kind of game that this genre really needs right now. I do genuinely think that a lot of people who grew up playing monster RPGs are looking for a game that delivers in these specific ways, and that Honkai Nexus Anima could satisfy a lot of people who are looking for this right now. I also think that the auto chest gameplay keeps the barrier to entry low for people who might want a more relaxed experience, but that the mechanics have a lot of potential for deeper and more strategic play, for people like me who get obsessed with game mechanics. You can pre-register for Honkai Nexus Anima using the link below in the video description and pinned comment. The game will be free to play on PC and iOS, and it will feature a live service model and a premium currency, but we don't know the exact details of how that will be implemented yet. The developers are looking for your feedback, so please make sure to fill out the survey in the link below and let them know what you want to see in the game. And of course, please follow Honkai Nexus Anima on all of their socials to stay up to date with the latest news surrounding this title. Thanks again to Honkai Nexus Anima for sponsoring this video. I have more of my typical content coming up this month, so please stay tuned. See ya!